Hi guys, it's Jamie and it's day 8 of the Junk Journal July challenge, and today's prompt is Wanderlust, which is hugely difficult for me because I have travelled a lot and I don't know how to do that. So I printed up some photos of favourite cities that I've been to. Not every place I've ever been. I got some stamps out that have got compasses on. I got some passporty type stamps. I got some map paper. What else did I get out? I got all of this out, which is like tags that I've made, and then also bits of like postcardy type things and stamps and transport, and I am going to have to try and put something together. I think the first thing I'm going to do is sort of cheat by doing a double page, which might mean I'll run out of space before the end of July and might have to add some pages somehow, but it's the only way I'm going to get travel, a wanderlust for me, a personal thing for me, covered. So I'm thinking Statue of Liberty face just on this side, maybe collage some other cities over that, and then map this side and maybe some stamps or collage over this. I am thinking, so I think I'm going to have to fussy cut some things, which I will probably do off camera. So fussy cutting, in case you don't know, and of course now I can't see my scissors, is just fine-tuning, if you like, the picture by cutting round bits that you want to keep or take out. And it means that not everything's a boring square if you're going to collage. You could also fussy tear, so you don't actually have to cut, you could just tear close to the lines, which would give you a different effect again. So I'm going to fussy cut some of these images off camera and come back when I've done that, and I might have made a decision by then as to what I'm going to do next. With some of these I'm quite happy with the straightness of the lines, but with others thinking maybe more of a torn look. For example, this is part of a building anyway, so just thinking of tearing it for the collage rather than the straight lines. I don't know, it's trying it and seeing when we lay it all down. As you can see, I'm trying to tear under a bit of control, trying not to lose too much, and maybe the same here, at least along the bottom, along St Charles Bridge. The ones that I can tear, I'm going to tear off camera and come back when I've done that. Now I've torn these, I've made a decision. It became really easy once I'd torn these collage pieces to decide that I'm going to lay this down as a background so I cover up the whole of this blue, and then collage on top and then make future decisions. I'm not overly happy with yesterday's project, the envelope one, so I'm hoping that this one makes me feel a little bit happier about the end result. I know I'm putting on lots of glue here, but this is vellum and it's more difficult to stick to. I want to butt that up very, very tightly, which you would normally leave a little gap, but I really want to cover up the blue. This is the project I wasn't so happy with. There is a video on it though. I'm not going to not put the video up just because I don't like the result. The idea is that you see that everyone, especially when you're beginner like me, has results they're not overly keen on, and you still keep going. You might have a better day the next day. Right, I'm going to leave that to dry and then come back and we're going to do some collaging. I'm back, it's dried, I've just trimmed around the edges and good to go. I'm going to start with the Statue of Liberty and put her quite close to the centre, I think, and then just see where we go with all the other bits and pieces. We'll maybe moving on to this page if I'm not happy. Actually, having a look, Kind of makes sense to do Venice there because it sort of fits the Statue of Liberty's face a little bit. Maybe that way. Can you still see gondoliers? I think so. Gondolas. Maybe Statue of Liberty needs to come over a bit or tilt. Maybe tilt Venice. I'm just having a think. This is the problem with me having chosen a small book. It's like, oh, can't get it all on. Am I definitely going to go over to the second page? Because if I am, I don't have to cram myself onto one page. I think I might have to go onto a second page because there's a lot of images here. First things first then, I hope you love watching process things because that seems to be all I do, is to get some more of that map on here. And I just put it to one side. It's quite difficult to do more than one challenge. I'll just try and stay within camera shot because I do tend to go out of shot quite a bit. It's so easy to do that. It really is. I know I've wrinkled that page. It will dry a bit flatter. And then there's another bit here. If I stick that half down. I like breaking a page as well. If you haven't watched any of my videos before, breaking a page to me is just getting something on the page. It just helps for some reason. If I get something on a page, I just feel more confident. Now, we could even put her over the 2 pages. So she becomes like the central piece, now that we're definitely doing 2 pages. And then just dump a few things. Dump. It sounds very artistic, doesn't it? Dump a few images down. I did keep some spare bits of the colour in case I wanted to just do some torn coloured pieces that weren't necessarily the image I was going to keep. So get Venice in, get the thing in. So yeah, I think Statue of Liberty I am going to do across the 2 pages then. Now, am I going to want anything to go under her face? Because if I do, they have to go first. I think we'll put Prague at the top. Now, am I going to have anything else under her face? Let's have a quick look at what else is here. Do I want St Basil's under her face or over? I think I quite like St Basil's over. Barcelona? Where are we going to put Barcelona? Barcelona under. Yeah, Paris is getting Prague's getting a little bit hidden. I might have to shift her over a bit when I put her down. So Barcelona's going to go here. I'm not very happy with the Venice image, I must admit. I think Venice has to go over as well. I've got 2 going under and they're down. Maybe St Basil should go here, but then what do we do with Venice? Venice over here? Venice is an awkward one. It's not really working for me. Unless I take the boats off and have Venice there and the boats over here. I think that works for me better. And then we've got a bit more of Venice here, so I could sort of patch Venice in that way. That makes sense. I've got a bit of Paris, could go there. Christ the Redeemer there, maybe. And Shanghai seems to have disappeared. And I don't know where. I have got bits that isn't what I originally intended for Shanghai, but it's still Shanghai that I could rip up, which is just tower blocks. Although it does have a sort of 1920s bit, it also has very, very modern architecture mainly and is very built up. So although this wasn't the original image I was going to use for Shanghai, it's here and I could use it, and I could stick that under somewhere or along the side there. Being a tower block, it's almost definitely a side piece, isn't it? I don't think you should get rid of the gondolas when you're doing Venice. I think you have to have them. It's just I wasn't very happy with how they were looking. But if I pop them down there like that and then do a bit of a bridge above it, you're still getting the impression. It's actually looking all right. Right, got Paris to get in somewhere. Could put Paris down here or up by Christ the Redeemer. I'm kind of running out of room for Paris now, unless I put Paris in the middle of Shanghai. That makes sense. Yeah, you see, I'm not really going to get Thailand in, am I? as I take just a chunk of temple this way. Maybe get that bit in, the roofs, golden roofs. I can't even remember if they were golden. I just have a feeling they were golden. I just don't think there's going to be room for it, unfortunately, without covering up so much else. I could get into this bit. I'm just thinking this has got quite a bit of map here and this side hasn't got any. Not that that matters. I'm just wondering if it's worth trying to fill up some of these gaps. I go that way and rip and then put a little bit up there. Right, so I've just trimmed that up, and then what I'm going to do is just check everything's glued down properly. All the edges are down, and if they are all down, I then am going to leave this, because it's pretty soaked through with glue, to dry off before I consider my next idea as to how we can make this into something a bit more exciting. Although I'm quite liking it, I don't think it's unexciting as it is. It's just, I like to do a bit more. Now the idea I had, because obviously everything's kind of melded now into this big collage, was to outline or highlight a few things. And I just asked my son, he did have a gold metallic pen. So just see, it's quite a thick one. So I think we're going to have to be careful, and I'm not really sure what I want to highlight yet. So I'm going to start in sort of a bottom corner in case I hate it. Maybe I need also a brush, because that seems very strong. Maybe I can, I don't know, can I get that to meld a bit by rubbing over? That's quite a strong look, isn't it? I wonder then if it's worth trying some gold acrylic, which I happen to have, and see if I can get a slightly finer. I can go over this with some black ink or something. Get a slightly finer gold. Yeah, that's better. That's more what I was thinking of. Just like brush with a bit of gold in places to highlight things. So I'm going to cover this with a bit of black. A simple sort of brush calligraphy pen. Well, that's quite fat. Cover that. It may not, of course. It's sort of shining through, isn't it? Lifting some of that paper now as well. How annoying. I always have at least one error. Take some of it off because it's quite strong. Right, let's continue while we work out what on earth can be done with that, with this idea of gold highlights on aspects of the, maybe can I just like run a little bit through the black that I've just done. I'm going to overplay this, I know I am, but it might help. And then run that way a little bit, because this was the one thing, particularly this gondola, that wasn't, or didn't feel like it was, you know, standing out. And then I was just going to obviously not just have it in one area, but run some very thin lines randomly, almost where the pen touches, around the Eiffel Tower. Obviously this is a golden looking dome anyway, so that's quite nice. And we've got this here, and just sketch it a little bit in areas so it's not as strong in some as others. This is quite strong now, so I might knock a bit off first before tackling the big one, the Statue of Liberty, giving her some gold highlights. It's almost like doodling with a purpose. Knock a bit off again. That's probably what I should have done to begin with, to make sure I didn't go in too thick, because obviously my skill with a brush and everything. So I'm still a bit thick on that boat. There you go. It's just going to have to be, isn't it? I could see if an ink pad would do anything there, like a distress ink maybe. Coffee. I don't know. It's quite nice though, the splattering of the gold, I think. Now I've got a technique to it, so it's not quite so strong. It's almost like graffiti, but in gold. See, I'm getting a bit braver now with the gold. Yeah, I like that. Let's give some to Christ the Redeemer, because he's a bit blue anyway, isn't he? I might bring some watercolour into this at some point. I don't know yet. See if I can get any watercolour effects to look cool. See, even some of this actually has areas that are yellower, which is like, oh, I could put gold around those yellowy tones. So I suppose that's the nice thing, is when something's sort of coloured for you, you can go with the actual shading of the picture. You're not having to make too many artistic decisions then, are you? I think we're almost done with the gold. A bit on there, maybe. Let's have a look. Yeah. Not bad. I mean, it's not stunning, but it's okay as a concept. A bit more on the statue, I think, her face. I'm not sure whether it's really achieved what I wanted to achieve. I'm trying to think what I could do to maybe graffiti it a bit more. Maybe some white gel pen. What do we think? I run some white through it as well. I just scribble in some bits in white. Go where the gold is, but now add some scribbly white. Oops, maybe not that hard. I'm hardly holding this. I'm holding it quite towards the end, and so that I have less control. I think that will give a more natural sort of scribbly look. Here you've got this very dark Barcelona-y building that maybe we could punch forward a bit. Yeah, I think the white is having more of an effect than the gold actually in sort of what I'm hoping to achieve. I'm loving this bit. Let's just get some more on then. If we like it, do it a bit more. Okay, cool. Very cool. I think it's because this is damp, you know. I'm struggling with this gondola. I might see if I can get some black ink through this as well. I've got a black gel pen that might help with that. Obviously the drier this is getting, the easier it is to, that's a bridge, get the effect. I'm just sort of holding it at a distance to see if I want to put a little bit more into some areas than I have, you know. I do think actually if I gel pen this with some of the other gel pens, we're going to get like a really graffitied look. I could either ruin this now or make it look really cool. We'll see. Let's try it a bit on. Is it even going to show up? Oh yeah, it does. Yeah, I like that. Right, what else have we got? That's all kind of yellows. I've got this pinkyish. What colour's this? Oh, this one's never even been used. It's still got the thing on it that you've got to try and knock off. Come off. Of course, I'm not trying to knock it off on the right thing. I mean, you may not be able to see this on camera. I don't know. Yeah. I'm just going to go where the colours are basically that anyway. I want to go with some of these oranges now. Originally I was just going to do the gold. Now I'm kind of going, yay, let's just go for it. Let's just put loads of colour into everything. But why not? If you can and you like it, just do it. It's going to be a mantra for this video, I think. And then the yellow. Obviously I've done some gold where the yellow is going to go. So I don't know how much this is going to show up. It's probably better than the gold, really. Is there anything else? Any other colours we need to use that we haven't used? There's a bit of pink here. There's not much pink in this. I mean, it's just literally that. How are we feeling now? Oh, I really like this. I really love that. I love the white. The white's really punching now. Okay, I've torn a bit of paper there, but that's okay. I'm not too worried. It's a junk journal. It's a bit of a pity, but you could patch it, I suppose, with a bit of existing stuff torn off. And then when that's dried a bit, or I could probably risk just to sort of blend it in a bit. I love this white, I have to say. I mustn't overdo the white, but I love it. I love the effect of that white. I keep saying mustn't overdo it, and of course there I am, overdoing it. Right, okay, I will stop before I ruin it. I will stop before I ruin it. Okay, I don't know if you can gesso this or not. I'd love to just test a bit to see if I can run a bit of clear gesso over it to sort of protect it. I will just test it in a small corner first, and if it bleeds all the colours, know not to do it. And if it doesn't bleed the colours, then I could do it, and it might help stick down some of these bits that are lifting slightly. And if necessary, you can always come back in when this has dried if you want to add a bit more gel pen or something. If you feel like this dulls it down too much, once it's dried you'll be able to tell, and just throw some over the top. It hasn't made it run into anything, which was the main worry, because last time I used this on something it made everything run, but that might have been supposedly one of those waterproof ink stamps that wasn't obviously that proofed. Once this has dried off, you can come back in and work on top of it, and what's underneath will stay, and then you're just kind of adding layers then. So if I wanted to watercolour a bit, I could do once this is dry. I don't think I will. I know I mentioned it, but now we've done those lines, I don't think you need to. I think it's got enough as it is. I have used absolutely nothing of my so-called junk journaling stash, my actual proper crafting stuff, which just goes to show you do not need a ton of stuff to be able to junk journal or art journal. I know the digitals look pretty. I see people posting their projects and they look stunning because they're all super coordinated and everything. But that was, to me, never the point of junk journaling. The point was to make something out of things you already had or had free access to or cheap access to. And I think that's how I'm treating this. It's not to use a load of pre-designed digitals that somebody else has made those decisions for me. But for me to use stuff that I find on the net or in my home and try and artistically interpret it I'm perfectly happy with that. I don't know that I will come back and do anything. I'm going to leave it to dry.